Hi folks, Marty here, and today we're going to take a look at a wee painting that I've prepared for you. This is of Mussenden Temple. It's in the north of Northern Ireland, and the good folk from Michael Harden have sent me these granulating set to try out. So we've got the Quinacridone Gold, Burnt Sienna, Prussian Blue, Viridian, Amethyst, and Perline Green. So these are a granulating set. I've tried them out and just to see how I get on with painting with them normally in my normal practice, rather than making them granulate quite heavy like I have done in some other tests. I wanted to see if I could actually paint with these. And to be honest with you, I've been really surprised when I stepped back from this after I'd painted it. I was really surprised at how good these paints are. So that's the painting that I just did, and I've resketched that out again, and now I'm going to do, this is a fresh painting for you guys, and that's a few wee mops there. So I'm into the Quinacridone Gold. We'll call it Quin Gold because it's hard to pronounce. And then I've mixed in a bit of Prussian Blue here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to wet the sky, just so as I can control the wash here. So I've wet that with just clean water. And then what I'm doing now is I'm just going in with some of that Quin Gold there, just to give the impression that there's kind of light, kind of warm clouds in here. In the first painting, I went in quite a bit heavy with it. But this time I decided to go a bit lighter. So with the Prussian Blue and a wee touch of Amethyst, just to warm it up a bit. I'm getting into the sky here, just to drop in some cloud work. So I'm keeping this all nice and subtle. So I'm not going to make these granulate the way you could if you laid them on thick and spread them water. I want to see if I can paint with them. And if it granulates, that's a bonus, but you know, I don't want them to granulate too much, because I know a lot of people are kind of divided over granulating paints. Some don't like them, some like them. I love the granulating paints, but at the same time, you know, I want something that I can use practically as well. So we're going to hit the headland in here. So what I've done is I've just went into some of the blue, some of the Quin Gold, and some of the Viridian, and I'm just kind of mixing between these ratios just until I arrive at something that I'm happy with. I mean, this is a real lovely colour. Really impressed, I must say. If you want to see these colours really granulating, don't forget to check out Michael Harden's video. I'll put a link to that in the description. You can see them really being put to test on how granulating they can be. The background sky is still a little bit damp, so I'm getting a wee bit of blooming, but that's okay. It's all part of it. I don't want it to look too tight. The first painting was a lot looser, and there's aspects of it I really liked, that looseness, so I'm going to just do that similar in this here one. So I'm just getting in and out of those colours, just adding a wee bit of a thicker pigment to them as we move down towards the bottom of this. So this is a Mussenden Temple, and there is a railway track that runs through this. It's hard to see from this angle, but okay. So what I'm doing now is just giving it a wee spray there, and that's one of the tricks to getting granulation paints to work. Get them all nice and thick, and then hit it with your spray bottle. In the Michael Harden video, you'll see these paints really granulate. in a lovely way. So I'll just use some of the burnt sienna and the Quin Gold there, just to paint in the structure at the top. And then what I did was I just poured a little bit of water with the use of the brush down there, just to let some of that run down. Okay, so this is the grass in the midground here. It's like reeds, grass, that kind of thing. So I'm with a Quin Gold, and you can add a wee bit of burnt sienna in that just to warm it up a bit. And then you can just touch the bottoms of those dark parts there, just to let it run, just give you more variation in texture. It's always good to practice just lifting wee bits out as well, if you want to give the impression that the light is hitting the side of objects. And folks, don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a wee comment. Really good to hear from you all. It's always appreciated. I love trying out these new paints. It's just a good way of just letting people be aware that there's such a rich heritage of paint manufacturers around the place that we can tap into. So I put a wee bit too much of the Amethyst on there, but I'm going to just go on with some of the other colours just to darken it up a bit. That's the nature of watercolour, you just gotta roll with it. And then on the edges where the bank meets the water that's running in here, I'm just adding some stronger stuff just to give it the impression that the bank's kind of rolling. I'm sure you've seen Michael Harding paints advertised, and he does oils as well. And if you've never had a chance to use any of them, it's definitely worth having a look into. I like how the paints just, how they react, and they give you the colour, they give you exactly what you're looking for. With a bit of a surprise, I must add. So this stage I'm just kind of, if you mix three basically essentially primaries, it's the Quin Gold would be your yellow, and the Amethyst would act as your red, and the Prussian Blue would act as your blue, of course. If you mix them together, it's like treat them like three primaries, mix them together, plenty of water, and maybe a wee bit of burnt sienna there. That'll give you a nice grey colour. If you want a darker grey, add some more of that burnt sienna in, maybe some more of the Prussian Blue, and you can hit that in towards the bottom of these rocks. If you've ever been to Northern Ireland, you'll be familiar with a lot of these sites. Some beautiful spots there is. So I just went in there, darker again. So it's always a case of, if you want it to be stronger and more saturated, then you need more pigment. And it's lovely just to be able to squirt these out onto the wee dish here and get a good feel of the paints. I do like working with my paints in little wells and so on, caked and dried out, but there's just sometimes when you get them, we drop that squirted out onto the dish here, you can really get the feel of the paints in a whole different way. So I'll put some of that grey blue into the sea there. Now we're just turning our attention to the water that's coming in. So it's more of that grey blue kind of a feel we want. So this is Bockingford rough, 140 pound weight. And it's a quarter imperial cut in two. It's a nice size to work on, especially when you're just experimenting and laying down ideas. So with that Quin Gold there, I'm just going to throw a drop that across the water there just to try and reflect what you see in the sky. Obviously, it's going to be a bit darker. If it's light in the sky, it's going to be darker in the water. When you're working on a ceramic dish like this, you can get thousands of colours, combinations. If it needs to be warmed up, you can just drag a bit of warmth into it, or cool down. You can drag a bit of cool colour into it. When you're using wee tiny paint palettes, it's really hard to get that variety because you're restricted to that little well. And once the colour's into that well, it's about all you can do, other than drying it out, clean it out, and starting all over again. But with this here, you're getting such a vast amount of colours and shades and strengths. So this is me leaning more into the turquoisey side of things here, adding some of that viridian with the Prussian, give me that nice kind of bluey water. If your workspace is quite warm, you'll find any paints will dry out quickly. So you've just gotta work fast or use your wee spritzer to keep things damp. You're never going to paint two paintings exactly the same when it comes to watercolour, and I think that's the nature of the spontaneity of the whole thing. What I'm doing here, it's I want to just lighten it up and just show a bit of the light of the sky reflecting onto the water. So I just went in there and dropped a bit of water in, just to take some of the pigment out a bit. I'd love to know what you think between this one and the first painting that was done. Do you prefer the looser kind of style, or do you prefer this, which is a wee bit tighter? So that's me just lifting out some of that pigment with a tissue there. So it just helps to reflect that sky, and it softens up certain areas. So when you're finished with this painting, you can just you can clean up all that area around your palette there, and then just give those little drops of paint a wee spray just to freshen them up a bit. So I'm kind of working at the shadow at the minute, so I'm getting into that more kind of turquoisey feel, your viridian and your Prussian there. So it's a bit of shadow stroke reflection. You're just kind of playing around with the paint. At least in a big tray like this, you can see what you're doing. If it's a wee well, it's not so easy. So I had a few requests from various people, and I'm hoping soon to get a look at them. One was for sunsets, and another was for forests. So if I can get some time, I will plan that in. I know some of you would like to know how I would go about tackling something like that. Everybody has their own way, of course, you know. And if you're wanting to have a wee go at this painting, at the start where I show the sketch, just do a screen grab and print it out and then trace it onto your watercolour paper. If you need to know how to do that, I have a video dedicated to how to trace. It sounds very simple and something we all feel that we should know, but when it comes down to it, there's so many different techniques, and I find the one that I use for that kind of thing has worked for me for over 30 years, so until I come across anything better, that's what I use. So I'm just going to go in down the side of this bank with that same colour. So when you get the shadow into the water, it really starts to pull it all together. Until then, everything looks like it's floating. The rocks look like they're floating in air. So it's not a terribly long video. It's about 27 minutes, but it should be long enough to let you get a feel of this. So these paints, they are granulating, but it's in a nice kind of gentle way. They're not overly granulated. It's enough to make a difference. It's enough to add texture in a lovely way. So I'm just softening up the foreground here with my wee spritzer, because I want to add some shadow and darkness into that foreground. Sometimes I forget to comment on these videos that I'm making. I just get so lost in them. So this is a pretty good, set of paints. I mean, you've got everything you're going to need to do landscape. It's always a wee bit tricky when you're trying out a set of paints and there's a lot of your go-tos that aren't there, or there's little substitution that you can use. But very surprisingly, I've been able to do everything that I've needed with these set here. I'd love to try maybe some flowers and stuff out with these to see how I get on. Maybe really push the granulating side of it. So I'm getting even stronger now. It's good to step back from your work and just make sure things are all appropriately, contrasted. It's also good to leave things for a day too, to come back at it and see if there's anything that you can fix, or look at things you might have done differently. And see if you're leaving a comment, folks, and you haven't already said, I'd love to know where you're all from. It's always good to hear what part of the world that you're watching us from. So this is a big ceramic, I think it's like a catering kind of dish. I can't even remember where I got it, but I've had it for so long. And the beauty about ceramics is that it doesn't matter how staining the paint is, it'll always come off. It always, you can always get it right back to the cleanness of the palette again. So when you're stepping back from your work, you're just kind of looking at areas and making sure nothing's floating in the air that shouldn't be floating in the air. So when you start mixing all these colours, you know, I wish I could say, you know, there was 70% of this colour and 30% of that. But it's not always. I don't even know how you could even qualify that unless you were using some kind of a measuring device that had exactly, you know, so many particles this and particles that. It really is, it's a case of just trying to feel it, really. As long as you know basically what the colours are, and then you can add or subtract water just to suit. So I'm just looking all over the picture, I'm looking at all these rocks, and this is the shadow colour I've made up with the Amethyst and the Prussian Blue, and there happens to be a wee bit of yellow there as well. It'll give me a nice purpley shadow colour. This is just a wee small brush. It's hard to get a really good fine rigger, you know, that something has a bit of spring in it. I'm continually on the lookout. So I just want to give a wee bit of movement in here by creating a couple of little swirls and ripples. So this is me just using that as I normally would in a landscape picture. But obviously, if you put the paint on a lot thicker and spray it and let it run, you'll get all those amazing granulating effects. So those blooms that I got at the top of those hills there, they just look like trees or something like that. Very interesting effect. All happy accidents, of course. So with my wee brush, I'm popping on a couple of wee birds. So any wee drops of paint you have there, just use that as the body, and just from it, paint in your wings. This stage I'm just thinking about a wee bit of detail, something in the foreground. You don't want any detail in the back. And you can get the back of pictures off, usually soft and out of focus. But if you want something to look like it's close up, that's where you can put in your details. So I'm putting in some cracks in these rocks. These paints are so versatile. You could really, I think they would cater for just about any style of watercolour. Anything from very tight to very loose and impressionistic. So I'm just dropping in some stronger, thicker pigment just to make these stand out a bit. The beauty about a big paint palette like this is if you go away and leave it for a day and come back, all you need to do is just give the palette a wee spritz, and all the pigment and mixes that you've been using will still be there for you. So the only thing to do now is just scrape out a couple of wee bits. Just using my wee trusty Victorinox Army knife. If you have an X-Acto knife or a blade or whatever, you could use that. It's just handy for pulling out wee bits of white here and there. Of course, you could use gouache if you like, but if you want to be a bit of a purist about the whole thing, you can just scrape it off. And again, with any of these techniques, just use it sparingly, just here and there. And some light hitting the top of those rocks. It's always the last 10 minutes of a painting that really pull it together. If you watch anybody's painting or anybody demonstrating, it might not look great for the first, 2/3 of the video or demonstration, but it's that last bit where it just all comes together. And as an artist, you're learning just to trust the process. So it's starting to look a bit more unified at the minute. It's good to just take a couple of wee minutes here and there, just to even go and have a cup of tea or coffee and come back and have a look at it. Fresh eyes. Okay, so at this stage we're just going to pop on the old signature. And get that tape off, and then there you go folks, there's what it looks like without the tape on it. So it's turned out quite a nice wee picture. It's very like the other one we did. It's not a million miles off of it. But so again, I'm just going to show you the two pictures, and if you let me know which one you like better, the looser first one, or the more sort of slightly tighter last one again. So folks, there you go. I've really enjoyed working with these paints. Absolutely surprised, I gotta be honest. I thought, is this going to be just another granulating set of paints from a company? But these colours are brilliant. They are really surprising, I must say. I would definitely recommend looking into these. Give them a go. Pick out some of these colours, and you'll be very surprised, I must say, as I am. So folks, until I see you all again, just keep them brushes wet and keep her lit. I'll see you all soon.